difficult it is to fight them. Well, now it appears someone in New York City was infected with bacteria that had a special type of resistance to antibiotics last year. This discovery could lead to another superbug that does not respond well to antibiotics or even at all. Here to talk about how this may affect us and what we can do about it is Dr. Vandana Bhide with Mayo Clinic. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhide, for meeting with us this morning. We appreciate it. This is something that affects every single one of us because it seems that everyone at some point needs antibiotics. Right. But what is your take on what's happened here in New York? I mean, this is a pretty major discovery.
It is. So this bacteria is resistant to an antibiotic of last resort. So it's really only used in people who are very sick, who have very serious infections, and of course, you want to have an antibiotic available for those people. The other concern about this particular bacteria, the gene that causes the resistance to this very serious antibiotic, it can actually be spread to other bacteria. So potentially you could have it spread to a bacteria that's resistant to other antibiotics, and then you could generate this superbug, which is resistant to many antibiotics. Now, this particular strain fortunately does have antibiotics that it can be treated with. But again, it can be spread to other bacteria. And that just sort of tells us that we need to be really careful with our use of antibiotics because these bacteria arise when their antibiotics are used either in livestock or in people, for you and me, for sore throats or for other things where maybe they aren't really needed. And
as a physician, I'm sure there are many times that you feel pressured by your patients. Sure. This is a physician thing too, because when you go to the doctor and you want to get well, you want to empower yourself and get better faster. Come on, doc, just write me a script for antibiotics.
Right, sure. And, you know, antibiotics, of course, have their place, but a lot of times people just want to get better faster. And so it's important to sort of take a step back and say, is this really an infection that can be treated with antibiotics? Are you actually going to get better with the antibiotics? And if the answer is no, and in many cases that is the case, that maybe it's caused by, the infection is caused by a viral infection, that antibiotics are not going to be helpful. So it just really highlights only use antibiotics when it's absolutely necessary. Avoid the use of antibiotics, if at all possible, in animals that we eat, in livestock.
Now, what if you get an infection that is very resistant to antibiotics? What could happen?
Well, potentially, and there are cases in the United States where people die every year from bacteria that have resistance to multiple antibiotics, and we don't have anything available for those patients.
Very serious issue, but one that we can all help solve, hopefully.
Exactly.
Dr. Bhide from the Mayo Clinic, we appreciate your being with us this morning. If you'd like to see this again, we are going to post this later to our morning show page on news4jax.com.